Hi there, I am Rachel Roberts, and I will be using CBT with a mother and daughter. Mother is Mary, played by Brian. She is a single mom, and she has a daughter named Brianna, who is 17 years old. Her presenting problem is her bulimia. So she is suffering from an eating disorder, and she is in therapy for her eating disorder. The interventions that I am going to be using in session include communication skill building, questions aimed at distorted assumptions, and behavior assigning, specifically alternative action formulation. Hey Brianna, hey Mary, thanks for coming back today.
Hi.
How has the week been?
It was a good week.
Yeah, how are you feeling, Brianna? With school?
I'm kind of stressed, but it's been a good time. I've been hanging out with my friends.
Good. Anything noteworthy happened in the last week?
Well, yeah. So I went out. I don't want to tell you because Mom is here. I went out last weekend with my friends, and everyone got drunk. I was designated driver. I didn't do anything. But I had an episode because everyone else, when they got drunk, they wanted fast food, and so I ended up ordering so much food, and I ate all of it. And everyone else was throwing up and not paying attention anyway, so I was throwing up with them, but they didn't realize that I hadn't drunk anything.
So would you say that this was another relapse?
I mean, it happened. It only happened once. It was happening more than that before. I don't know if that's a relapse. Maybe.
At any point in that night, did you consider not engaging in your eating disorder behavior?
When we were in the drive-through at fast food, I was thinking like, man, I really want that. And so then I was like thinking about all the things that I could order, and then afterward, and then as we got closer, I was like, no, I shouldn't do that. And I kept telling myself. But then we were at the window and everyone else was ordering, and I just did it without thinking.
Before we go on, I just want to say that it takes a lot of courage to share that, especially with your mom here. So I know it might not be something that you might want your mom to know about, but it just shows that you are accountable.
I mean, I probably wouldn't have told her if I also had been drinking, but I don't do that, so I don't feel as bad. Right, Mom?
And you want to hear from me, or do I get to talk today?
Oh yeah, absolutely, Mary. I do have a few more questions for Brianna before
okay.
we move on.
I'll wait my turn, sure.
So how do you feel now that it's been a couple days since that incident? How do you feel about it now?
I always feel guilty afterwards. feel like I shouldn't have done it, and I'm angry and frustrated with myself for doing it. I don't like it.
At what point did those feelings of anger and guilt come on?
When people started finding out.
And so what messages do you receive from people when they find out about this?
Mostly they're like grossed out. Or like, whoa, I never thought that you'd be that person, that you'd be doing that. Because like, I guess I hid it really well for a long time. I don't like the way that people look at me.
How do you think people look at you?
With disdain. With like holier than thou attitudes. Like they're better than me. Also, I like feel just like fat and ugly, and I feel like they're scrutinizing me like that.
What does it feel like to feel fat and feel ugly?
What do you mean?
Is fat a feeling?
Yes.
What does it feel like in your body or in your head or in your heart?
It feels like being outside of my skin. Feels like my skin doesn't feel right, like sort of a crawly sort of feeling.
That sounds really uncomfortable. Does it feel uncomfortable for you?
Yeah.
So when you feel fat and ugly, what do you do with that? Because that sounds really uncomfortable. And I want to know how you choose to do, what you choose to do with those feelings.
I mean, traditionally, I would ignore it until I felt guilty enough that I would sneak food in my room and eat my feelings. And then I would feel so guilty about eating my feelings because I felt fat that I would throw it up.
Okay.
It's just like guilt and more guilt and more guilt.
So, Mom, I want to hear a little bit from you. What do you hear when you hear Brianna say that she feels fat and she feels ugly?
She's not fat, and I don't like to hear her talk that way about herself. But I'm sorry, I just can't overlook, her recount of going out with the friends that got drunk, because I know who those friends are, and those are kids that you are not supposed to be hanging around with. And they're a bad influence on you. So you and I are going to discuss that later. I'm just not going to let that go. I'm sorry. But she, no, I don't like to hear her talking about her body image, and she's not fat. She's a pretty girl. She's she has a nice figure, and she has no reason to be considering herself to be fat. And I've tried to work with her on healthy eating. Look at me, I'm 35 and I am in good shape. I eat well, and I try to show her, I try to demonstrate for her what a balanced diet looks like, and that's what I'm trying to do for her. I'm trying to model good behavior for her in this realm.
It sounds like your way of helping Brianna is by showing her what's healthy in your eyes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I don't know, do you know, have you had anyone close to you in your family or friends or significant others that had an eating disorder? Are you familiar with eating disorders?
Not really. It's not. I would say it's not really something on my radar. I mean, it's. I kind of think that she got the idea from, I don't know, social media or something. Like even knew that it was something that a person could do, because I don't think she came up with this idea all by herself.
Well, I have a lot of experience working with eating disordered individuals in various settings, and what I hope to do with both of you is help Brianna cope more effectively so that she doesn't require a higher level of care. Right now, it seems like what we're doing seems like we're getting through based on the homework assignments that we've been working on, and we'll address that in a little bit, because I do want to find out how that went for you last week. But I just want to let you, Mary, know that eating disorders are go beyond the food. You don't treat an eating disorder with healthy eating.
I don't understand why not. I don't explain that to me. How can that not? It's such an obvious remedy.
Sure. Well, food is a huge part with eating disorders, and just like drug addictions and alcoholism, it goes beneath the surface, and so there's a lot of trauma that over time we're going to peel that onion, we're going to get to the root, but that's going to take a lot of therapy, and it's going to take a lot of conversation to get to the root of it all. But eating disorders are very difficult mental illnesses to treat, and oftentimes if individuals don't get the treatment that they need, they are often in and out of treatment for many, many years, sometimes decades. So I want you to understand the severity of it, and I hope that you would be open to what the experience is like for Brianna, because it is a very difficult thing to live with, especially as a 17-year-old. It's a difficult time in your life, I would imagine, with you being a senior in high school, and you have so much life ahead of you. So it's not something that we can really address in one session, so that will, hopefully with time, it will make more sense. But I do want to address the homework assignment that I assigned last week. I want to know how it went. I know that the biggest thing was just noting, one or two instances when you felt really triggered to engage in an eating disordered behavior. And I want to know what that trigger was and how you chose to cope. Were you able to do that?
Yeah, so the first one was like kind of what I told you about, like this last weekend. It was like being at the drive-through was the first trigger, and I didn't really cope with that. I just binged and purged. But the other one, which is a lot harder to talk about, is there was another day that I was going to school, and as I was leaving the house, Mom told me that she didn't like what I was wearing, but she said it like are you really gonna leave the house like that? And then I felt so bad, like, and then I couldn't stop looking at myself, and and it definitely triggered me, but I tried to like throw myself into school that day and like spend time talking to my friends and like kind of distract myself. And then when I got home, instead of heading straight to my room and like being by myself, I like decided to clean the house because that gave me something else to do, so that I was like focusing until the feeling went away.
So it sounds like you were able to use a positive coping skill in order to not engage by distracting yourself with cleaning. And the thing about coping skills is that coping skills aren't necessarily solutions. So I think it's important to note that it's a temporary solution because we just have to take it moment by moment. And I think you did a fantastic job of doing that. It's really challenging to step outside of your comfort zone, especially after what you experienced over the weekend. And so I just want to commend you on that.
I like that coping skill. Let's use that one every time.
Well,
Sorry for trying to make light of it.
We can definitely add that to, your toolbox. And it's important to remember that not all of your coping skills will work when you want them to. You'll find that some will work and others won't, and it depends on the time of it too. So I do want to ask, what was the effect what was the effect of the choice you made in terms of distraction?
It was really hard because like I had to really, really focus, and but I mean, I didn't really feel anything afterwards. It was just kind of the problem. That's why the thing is that when I do end up purging, it like feels really good in the moment, and so so feeling like the way that I was feeling after Mom said that, it was really hard for me to like not pay attention to that feeling, and I didn't get like the relief that I get from actually giving in. So I don't know, I guess I feel like both proud of myself but also like sort of disappointed too.
Well, I just want to point out that you were able to get through that moment without compensating your own health. And next week, what I would like to do is talk about these messages that you're getting from your mom. And I want to talk more about what is the message you intend on telling Brianna when you say these critical things. But I'm glad that you were able to complete this assignment, and I hope that you keep it up, and I hope that this is a reminder that you've been able to do it before and you can do it again. Yeah.
That is true.
So I want to thank you for your time, and we'll talk more a little bit about communication next week and the messages we intend on sharing with each other. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Roberts.
You.
Yeah.